Hey, it's been a while. This devlog is going to be different. Before I talk about the progress I made in the development of Augmented, I want to talk about productivity and personal development in general. I'll tell you how I went from using about 20% of my free time on my projects to about 90%. In the last devlog I began a task that would take longer than expected, switching the game engine from Unity to Godot. I exceeded my original goal of finishing the port to Godot by a factor of 2.5. I underestimated the effort a task like that takes. I realized I made mistakes like this quite frequently. When I tried to estimate the time a task takes, the rough formula I used in my head looks like this. Time equals work divided by skill. So the amount of time is based on how well my current skill balances out the amount of work. I knew there were a lot of missing variables in my formula, but I considered it a good enough framework. Little did I know, I forgot about probably the most important variable. The amount of effort I was going to put in. A very simple task cannot be completed by the most skilled person if no effort is being put in. So with that realization, I modified my original formula. Time was now going to be equal to work divided by skill times effort. My problem was neither an overwhelming task, nor the lack of game development skills. My problem was that I was undisciplined, I was wasting my time, and I was procrastinating. How did I actually fix all of those problems? I knew I couldn't just flip a magical switch in my mind. That wouldn't make for a good story. That switch is flipped slowly, by consistent effort. I made a few rules for myself, and tried my best to stick to them. Entertainment should be a reward. Whenever I have free time, I'm now going to get work done first, instead of instantly watching shows, videos, or consuming unnecessary content. Actively focus on tasks. Maintaining focus is not easy. Your mind can get distracted by anything. You have to actively remind yourself that you want to complete a task whenever you catch yourself drifting off. Learning requires struggle. Learning new skills can be discouraging. In order to achieve mastery, you have to suck first. It is very easy to beat yourself up for mistakes you make along the way. You have to remind yourself that mistakes are an important part of learning and that you will improve given sufficient time. Of course, that time varies between different people, but I believe most skills can be picked up by almost anyone. By sticking to these rules, after about a week I noticed my productivity had increased significantly. And as I completed more and more tasks, I realized that my brain's reward system had shifted. The dopamine hit I'd chased by playing games, watching videos, etc. was now almost completely replaced by the feeling of accomplishment and success after a finished task. And it didn't stop there. By weeding out unproductive and unnecessary short-term dopamine-chasing activities, I noticed that I felt fundamentally different at the end of the day. Where I usually felt like I wasted another day that I could have worked towards my goals, I now felt content. It might sound hyperbolic to someone on the outside, but I went from playing multiple hours of video games every day to just about 1 hour of video games a week. And the craziest part is, I feel much better about myself, even though I work almost all day. Going forward, I want to also talk about personal development, because I believe it's a very important part of game development. Speaking of game development, let's talk about what I've been up to in Augmented. I completed the port to Godot and added a lot of stuff along the way. I think the best way to show you is to play the game and explain what's going on. Let's build some structures. I'd like a wall here and a structure here. Where we previously had to press a shop hotkey, select what we wanted to build and then finally place it, we can now open the new radial build menu to quickly place what we want. Let's install some augmentations. I'll get my basic eye slingshot set up. You might have noticed the new augmentation menu. We can now see the installed augmentations in the top bar and the available ones below. I've also added a convenient cost indicator whenever you hover a shop item in the top left corner. It shows the remaining currency and item cost. I'll duplicate this setup just to be safe. My structures should make light work of the first wave. I'll now sell one of those structures to build an advanced structure. To prevent players from accidentally selling structures, structure bases containing augmentations are protected from being sold. To override this safety measure you can hold down Shift. I've added a bunch of quality of life features like this. In the last part of this video, I'd like to talk about my plans moving forward. This devlog is probably going to be the last heavily scripted one. I want to release devlogs every few days and just talk about what I've done, making consistency my priority instead of writing a script and tediously editing a video. Finally, I'll be doing a playtest soon, so stay tuned if you want to try Augmented yourself. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.